Imagine this. Tomorrow morning, someone offers you two choices. You can have the world's best teacher or the world's best memory. Most people would choose the memory. After all, if you could remember everything, learning would be effortless, right? Well, not exactly. Because some of the smartest people in history didn't have extraordinary memories. They had something much more valuable. They knew how forgetting works. That sounds ridiculous. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you might stop trying to remember more and start learning in a completely different way. Let's play a quick game. Don't pause the video. Just answer honestly. What did you have for lunch exactly 11 days ago? Yeah, me neither. Your brain isn't broken. It's doing its job. Imagine if you remembered every single conversation, every grocery receipt, every password you've ever changed, every face you've seen in a shopping mall. Your brain would become a storage room where nothing important could be found. Forgetting isn't a bug, it's a feature. It's your brain quietly saying, that information probably won't matter later. And here's where things get interesting. If your brain decides what stays, how do you convince it that something is worth keeping? That's the real secret behind learning faster, not studying harder, but making your brain care. Think back to your school days. You probably spent hours reading the same page over and over. By the fifth time, you felt confident, I've got this. Then the exam arrived. Your brain looked at the question, looked back at you, and basically said, good luck. I wasn't paying attention either. We've all been there. Reading creates a dangerous illusion. It feels productive. Highlighters come out, notes look beautiful. You even buy expensive stationery. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Recognition is not the same as remembering. Familiarity feels like learning. Your brain politely disagrees. Let's try something different. Without looking, can you name the last 5 countries you saw on a world map? Harder than it sounds. Now imagine I asked you to point to Italy on a map. Much easier. Why? Because the brain learns by retrieving, not just receiving. Think of your memory like a path through a forest. Walking the path once barely leaves a trail. Walking it again makes it clearer. Eventually, you don't even have to think about where you're going. Every time you force yourself to remember something, instead of simply rereading it, you're strengthening the path. Learning isn't pouring information into your brain. It's building roads your thoughts can travel on. Here's where almost everyone gets tricked. Imagine 2 students. Sarah studies for 6 straight hours. Ryan studies for 1 hour, takes a break, comes back tomorrow, and repeats. Who learns more? Most people say Sarah. She worked harder. She sacrificed more. She probably consumed enough coffee to legally qualify as a power plant. But here's the twist. Ryan usually remembers more. Because your brain keeps working, even after you stop studying. Think about going to the gym. Muscles don't grow while lifting weights. They grow while recovering. Your brain works the same way. Rest isn't the opposite of learning. It's part of learning. Read that again, because schools rarely teach it. Now here's my favorite experiment. Imagine I show you 10 random words. You stare at them for 5 minutes. Then I take the list away. How many could you remember tomorrow? Probably not many. Now imagine I tell you a story. A tiger walks across a bridge, holding a pizza, while taking pictures of the moon, before sitting on a chair next to a river. Suddenly, those same words become much easier to remember. Why? Because your brain loves stories. Facts live alone. Stories build neighborhoods. That's why you can remember movies from 10 years ago, but forget someone's name 5 seconds after they introduce themselves. Your brain isn't asking, is this important? It's asking, does this mean something? Meaning beats repetition almost every time. Here's another strange observation. Children learn languages incredibly fast. Adults often struggle. People usually blame age. But that's only part of the story. Watch a child learning. They don't worry about sounding stupid. They guess. They experiment. They make hilarious mistakes. Imagine a toddler saying, yesterday I good to the park. Nobody laughs. Nobody says, clearly languages aren't for you. Adults, we refuse to speak until we're sure we're correct. Ironically, that's exactly what slows us down. Because mistakes aren't evidence that learning failed. They're evidence that learning is happening. The fastest learners aren't the smartest people in the room. They're the people least afraid of looking foolish. Let's talk about curiosity. Because curiosity might be the closest thing we have to a learning superpower. Imagine someone hands you a puzzle with one missing piece. Can you stop thinking about it? Probably not. Your brain hates unfinished stories. It's why cliffhangers work. It's why mystery novels exist. And it's why you suddenly remember something 5 minutes after someone says, never mind. Curiosity creates tension, and tension creates attention. Instead of asking, what do I need to memorize, learning becomes much easier when your brain starts chasing answers instead of collecting facts. Now let's talk about one of the biggest lies we've ever believed. I'm just a slow learner. Really? Compared to what? You probably remember song lyrics you haven't heard in years. You remember your childhood address. You remember embarrassing moments from 2014 that literally nobody else remembers. Funny how your brain suddenly becomes a genius when emotions get involved. Maybe you aren't bad at learning. Maybe you've just been using methods your brain never liked. That's a completely different problem, and thankfully, it's a solvable one. So what's the principle behind learning faster? It's surprisingly simple. Stop trying to put information into your brain. Start pulling information out of it. Instead of reading the chapter again, close the book. Explain it out loud. Teach an imaginary student. Write everything you remember on a blank page. Ask yourself questions before checking the answers. Space your learning over days instead of cramming it into one night. And don't fear forgetting. Forgetting isn't failure, it's an invitation to strengthen the memory again. Every successful recall tells your brain, this matters, keep it. That's how knowledge sticks. Not because you stared at it longer, but because you used it more. Here's something worth remembering. Your brain doesn't reward the time you spend learning, it rewards the effort it takes to remember. Another, knowledge collected is interesting, knowledge retrieved becomes wisdom. And one more. The goal isn't to study until you know it. The goal is to study until you can't easily forget it. Let's go back to the beginning. Remember the choice? The world's best teacher or the world's best memory? Maybe that was the wrong question, because memory isn't something you're given. It's something you build, one question at a time, one mistake at a time, one forgotten answer at a time. The people who learn the fastest aren't racing through information. They're constantly returning to it, testing it, connecting it, using it. They've stopped treating learning like filling a bucket. They treat it like lighting a fire. And here's the beautiful part. A fire doesn't grow because you throw everything into it at once. It grows because you keep feeding it, little by little. So the next time you catch yourself saying, I'm not smart enough to learn this, remember this. Your brain was never designed to remember everything. It was designed to remember what you repeatedly prove matters. And maybe that's the biggest secret of all. Learning faster isn't about having a better brain. It's about finally working with the one you already have. If you forgot the beginning of this video, don't worry. That was kind of the point. Subscribe to Simple Wins, where we uncover the surprisingly simple ideas hiding behind life's biggest challenges. Because sometimes, the smartest people aren't the ones who know the most. They're the ones who never stop learning.